Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer. Welcome to the Impactful Engineer. Our mission is to give you the blueprint for career excellence, not just the textbook answers. To have honest conversations for engineers who are sick of the status quo. But who are we? Why should you listen to what the hell we have to say? Well, I'm Steve Maxey, and after a decade of grinding as a product development engineer, I changed my approach and started advancing quickly to my current role as a senior manager in product development. And I'm here with my brother Jake, who found career success as a senior electrical engineer. But he is now building NLS Engineering, a consulting firm in the AEC industry. We believe the biggest problems you face aren't technical, they're human. And we're here to open the door for you to make your career undeniably great with mindset shifts and tools to use daily. But it takes your decisive action to make that happen. Hello, Jacob.
What's up, dude? And every single time I hear the human part of that, I go, yep. Even more today, as I always say, because technical is just becoming the information at your fingertips now. I can check anything I want, technically. Okay, yeah, housekeeping. If you're new to the show, 3 typical types of episodes. 1, Steve and I will get on here, talk about something we think will help you in your career that we have experienced for ourselves that helped us. You get to walk away with whether you think it'll help you or not. Second episode type, either one of us comes on. We have something to share. Down to the point, maybe a little more detailed and involved from our personal experiences so that you can draw from those as well. And then our third type of episode is we bring a guest on to talk about their expertise, bring their point of view, because it's not all about Steve and Jake. There are more humans on the earth than the two of us. And so they have great things to say and can help you excel in your career as well. Those are the 3 types.
Yeah. And today is that last type. So we have a guest today.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a myriad of experiences in leadership, as well as leadership development and coaching. And I'll let him give us a little bit extra background from his point of view. But I'd like to welcome Geoff Preece to the show. How's it going, Geoff?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the nice intro. And yeah, so I have a pretty diverse background within leadership development, what it means to run and manage teams, and just being able to interact with people on a one-on-one basis. And a lot of that stems from my time in the Marine Corps, working with smaller units and teams in and out of different types of operational roles in different countries, as well as being able to support law enforcement as an officer in the field for quite a few years, and then being a Krav Maga instructor. So I was a defensive tactics instructor with them. Also did a little dancing around within some sniper instructing and sniper school, which was a really good time. And then more importantly, I still think working within logistics and supply chain operations has been the most impactful portion of it for me. Because I get to run small teams up to large teams. And that's what I was doing a couple of jobs prior to where I'm at now, where I get to be a leadership facilitator instructor, and more importantly, the executive coaching that I really do enjoy, that one-on-one basis to where we get to hear a problem, be able to solve it, and just kind of let them see what they already had the capacity to do. I'm just helping them recognize and find it.
Yeah. And I think in your experience, you deal, kind of jump into our topic, with a lot of different generations of type of leaders, right?
Yep.
I just wanted to jump right into our topic. So, most of our audience is going to be of the younger generations, but they have to integrate with what did you say before? Like 4 or 5 different generations in the workforce currently?
Yeah. So right now we have 5 different generations in the workplace, and then we're about to have 6 in about 2028 when Generation Alpha is able to they're going to hit the working age. So they're going to be entering the workforce in masses and dwarves.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see that large shift within, any different generations going to have different purpose. They're going to have different traits that they pay attention to. Things matter differently to each group and generation that has come across. So now we're going to have like just this big cesspool of people with different perspectives, different priorities, different things they're looking for within organizations and companies. And if some of those purposes don't meet their personal values, we're going to have a harder and harder time trying to find staff who wants to work and partake in the workforce now.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of stereotypes that go around that people are like, oh, this generation is so obsessed with this, or this generation acts like this, etc. But I think, and I'm sure you can relate to this, that we have seen high performers across the spectrum of generations, right? That buck that status quo, that stereotype. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of want to dive into what those stereotypes are typically, and how we've seen those get broken.
It's a great segue. And I'll start this by saying it's really easy to Monday night quarterback anything when it doesn't pertain to yourself or holding yourself accountable. So it's easy to say this generation is the most difficult, which just doesn't happen to be mine. Or this generation just they're not willing to see things eye to eye or see this or see that. And it's like, look, they're doing the best they can with where they came from and what they were exposed to within their society and their parenting during that time. So it's always going to be this evolutionary episode we see to where some things are going to be better, some things are going to be worse. So it's just a matter of what they're induced to during that time that they're being brought up. And when you look at Generation Alpha, especially, they're going to be the first generation that's been completely submerged in technology since the day they were conceived. Mm-hmm. And so now you have these kids that are just, they're iPad warriors. They have a great sense of computers, technology, how things work. And what used to take the older generation 30 years to perfect and learn and be an expert of the craft, it's no fault to them. But a lot of these new generations, they can research YouTube, watch some YouTube videos. You can literally go and build a house over a weekend just by watching YouTube videos. Is it going to be perfect? No, but they have the basis on how to do it and the drive to actually get it done. Mm-hmm. So that's a big shift that we're seeing. And if you also want to tie into it, take engineers, for example. Mm-hmm. Some incredibly intelligent people, very specific to their craft, but they get so fixated on that technical perspective to where they have to know every single minute detail, or it's just all going to fall apart. But it's not entirely true. But it's how can you take the information you have, use it to best practice with those around you, and be able to help everyone get better and grow more. And it's no longer about having the technical skills. It's really not. That's a small checkbox in the bigger picture. You have to have relatable soft skills, which takes having relationship building, being able to interact with people, talk more. And so those are some of the stereotypes that I see is like, oh, well, I went to Harvard, or I did this and I did that. And like my resume says I should be here. And it's like your technical skills are a small portion of it. But overall, are you coachable? Do you have the ability to listen? Can you shut up and do what you're told when you're told to do it? And not so much like the military, like aggressive, like just do what you're told kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But there's a time and a place, and how can we adapt to the environment that allows people to understand when that time and place is there? Yeah. It's a long-winded answer.
No, it's a great answer. I had a couple things, like when you say shut up and do what you're told, it's going to trigger people, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Doesn't trigger me, because I just wanted to kind of peel it back a little bit. It's like, that's the strategy. This is the what makes the business move forward. This is what makes the team stronger. This is what makes all of us win together. It's not shut up and do what you're told. And like, that's the whole position of the leadership team, is that I am more than you, and you do, you're my little subject and you just do what I say. It's like, that's an actual strategy. It's just not delivered in the way that people would love. Right. So I just want to say that it's like, yeah, shut up and do what you're told is a great working motto. Like, get the shit done, do the thing, move your ass, right? Get it going. So that's like, I just want to hammer that in. I don't want people to like move away from that, go towards that. And then when I was, as I start my business, it's like, I want to be super welcoming to the fact that most of the workforce, most of my employees are going to be that Gen Alpha, like the immersed in technology. And I want to be welcoming to that and set up my environment to when they come in, they know how to work the systems. So I don't want to fight them on that with my old school systems. I want to get up with the new. So I do spend a lot of time researching how to do that. And I know a lot of people that are either in that generation or close to it. And I know, how they think and everything. So those are the 2 points I want to make. But
hey, my fellow impactful engineers, if there's one thing that you could do to help out this community is to keep listening to the podcast, but also if you found value in it, to share it with one person, give us a 5-star review, or even leave a text review. It'll only take a few seconds of your time. Find that person that you think could enjoy some of this or learn from it, and pass on the good word. Now back to the show.
Yeah, and if you want to expand on that, we can, is because this newer generation, they're incredibly intelligent. There's no doubt about that. They have a very unique perspective on life. They are able to accomplish a whole lot. They do know how to apply information and be resourceful, but they lack the ability to have that relational connection, as well as, is this important and why am I doing it? And so it's almost like they pick and choose what's important to them as to what they focus on. And like you can't fault them for that, because that's a product of the environment. So how can
they've been able to do that.
Yep. And you see it with colleges, to where their academic advisors take care of their scheduling and this, and they literally just show up because they're told to show up somewhere, and like that's what they do, and then they go on to the next thing, and that's what they do there. And so there's not a whole lot of the internal drive that we used to see a whole lot more, and they're used to things just naturally flowing to them. So how can we tailor that to where it's like, look, you have great skills and abilities, but how can we now make this, a force multiplier in this environment to where you're going to succeed? And then us, as the older population, as we get there, how can we make them connect those pieces and just push them even further? Because I don't want to hire somebody dumber than me. I want to hire somebody who's smarter and brighter, who can follow a strategy and a vision and a guide, and then just make it even better. That's the whole purpose of this. So like, why everyone always takes sides on, well, I would just want to be better than you, or you're worse than this. No, it's like, it's one team, one fight.
That's right.
Yeah. And I do want to, break the concept of, sweeping applications per generation, right? Because I think there is plenty of examples of individuals that I've worked with that are from younger generations that have a lot of drive. It's almost like, because of the stereotype, I want to prove the stereotype wrong. And then so they lean into the soft skills. They lean into the the ability to figure things out themselves and pull direction out of others for them to take action on. I've seen it in my current role with some of the employees that are on my teams. And so I do want to break that sweeping objective look at generations, but those stereotypes are there for a reason, right? Because holistically, you will see larger groups of people from different generations behave in certain ways.
Yeah, and that goes with anything in life. You look at the 80-20 split factors. Yes, they're always going to look at the larger. Hey, this generation tends to struggle with this. Is that all of them? No, absolutely not. I'm just trying to speak high level as to how things are kind of portrayed and perceived, especially within research documents and the data that's out there.
Absolutely, you should be looking at those and know how to address them. Mm-hmm. It's like it's kind of like sales, but it's more towards team building. It's like you should have the overall objections, you call them, and all the subsets of what chunks up to those objections, and all your overcomes, which would be your training and how to manage and how to lead. Right. So as the older generations, or, the next ones in line, and we're starting to manage big groups of people and lead them, and especially if you start your own company, it's like you should understand all of those things so that you can give those coming to do this with you the best shot at having great success and having a good time doing it. Yeah.
So let's give some of the younger generations some advice and coming into a workplace that has older generations in it, and how to interpret the older generational expectations and how they can be ultimately successful in their new role, like coming out of school. So what would your advice be to someone who just graduated, just got a job in an engineering firm, and they're trying to navigate this landscape?
Be a sponge. Like, I know that you might have heard that a lot within your parents telling you that, or career counselors, but honestly, just be a sponge, because it is, like Jake is saying, it's not really sales. It is. A lot of this is sales now, is because I'm not trying to just sell my company to you for you to want to work for me, but I want to sell my purpose, my vision. Where do you actually fit in here? Do you fit in here? Like, what intrinsic value are you going to take from that? And when we look at how to be a sponge, just soak it in, learn something. If an opportunity comes up, don't say no, just take it. Are you going to be 100% happy doing it? No, probably not. Like that's also the point and purpose is, even if you tie it back to dating, is do you marry the first person you date? Probably not. You expose yourself to it. You're like, I don't like this and I don't like that, but I do like this and I do like that. So be a sponge, see what works, see what doesn't, build yourself, because every bad experience, you're still going to take something from it and learn something invaluable that you're going to be able to pass on to somebody else, help them along. And so those soft skills is what I'm talking about when we consider like what a sponge is it's soft, it absorbs a lot, but it can still like squish and be molded around different things. But at the end of the day, it still goes back to its normal state. So remember who you are, but have those soft skills to where you can just go make a relationship, go figure out what the problem actually is. And at the end of the day, the older generation, they're not right. They're also not wrong. You're not right, and you're definitely not wrong. But how can we find that middle ground? And how can you employ emotional intelligence to understand that everyone has a different perspective? And yes, theirs is going to be a little bit older, more refined. They've had a lot of years of exposure. But where are those weak points? What can you listen to what they are trying to improve? Identify the problem, because it's not really the person, it's a problem, right? And it's not usually up to them. So where can you find those small things that makes you invaluable based on your ability to listen to people and help them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you brought up soft skills and emotional intelligence. Can, just so everyone's on the same page, can you define those in the intent that you're talking about?
Yeah, so we'll start with soft skills. So your soft versus hard skills. Hard skills are very technical. You went to engineering school and you got a degree in this, and then you have all these different certifications that makes you an expert of a technical skill or trait.
Yeah.
Right, like PMP, any of those kind of certifications. But your soft skills are ones that you can learn as you go. I still believe to this day that they are way more valuable than hard skills in a lot of different areas, because those are your ability to listen, your ability to be coachable, biggest one. Another one is your ability to communicate. How do you interact with others? So these are all the softer things that need to be really paid attention to so you can learn. You're going to be able to adapt and grow as you continue with it, because you're not going to be perfect at it. So, but those are things you have to pay attention to, because most hiring managers and most people are looking for your ability to not just fit a culture, but be a culture add to where you can bring in a different perspective, not have groupthink be in there, but how can you work and navigate around the complexities of different generations and work environments and, manufacturing versus, administration or hospital work. Like there's always going to be different applicability based upon your audience. So those are the big differences between your hard and soft skills. And then your emotional intelligence, that really comes down to half of it being split between its self-reflection and self-management. And then the other half is relationship management on the outside. So 50% is internal, 50% external. And then if you want to break it down, you look at self-awareness and self-management. So if I call Jake an asshole and doesn't really know me, his first reaction is like, well, who the hell is this guy? Like you're going to see those, that's going to be that trigger response you're going to have. And then you're going to be, okay, well, how am I going to respond to that? How am I going to manage myself through this difficult conversation or conflict that has now arisen, which I wasn't prepared or aware of? Yeah. So those are your first internal part. And then the rest of it's going to be, now that I know where I'm at, if I am going to pop off, okay, well, I'm probably going to sever this relationship with Jake because I'm going to say a lot of mean, hateful things, and I'm going to make fun of his mustache, which doesn't really get filled in that much. And so it turns into these things. And so it's really big within the work environment now, is because managing and leading people is the hardest thing on the planet to do. And if you listen to, Jocko Willink or other very Leif Babbitt, these really highly trained and highly skilled guys are phenomenal at what they do, but then they actually do very little input with the teams, and they do a whole lot of receiving. And so how are we going to manage this with it? Because again, 100 different personality traits, 100 different communication styles, 5 different love languages. If you want to use Gary Chapman's book on it, phenomenal book, by the way. So how people receive love is not how they like to give it. There's always going to be different perspectives on that, and different ethnical backgrounds, different upbringings, different parenting. So all these different things, how do we manage all of these to interact with other people? That's where emotional intelligence is probably the leading soft skill or trainable skill that employers across the entire industry are looking for, because it's no longer the hard skills now, but it's how can we take these and actually apply it within teams to make the team, again, a force multiplier to where we can see more impact. We can see teams achieve more with less. And it's not because we're trying to overwork our employees. It's just because the human population within the States, if you look at the labor reports and statistics, is by 2033, we're going to have I wouldn't say half. I'd have to pull it up specifically. I could have done it before, but we're going to have a very significant drawdown within working environments and people. We don't have enough people to fill the current need that we are going to have by then. So what do we do with less? Because that's what we have. So that's where employing it is great. That's a long-winded explanation of those 2 or 3 definitions.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Jake,
Okay.
We don't have to play it back a few times to
digest
feel it out.
Yeah.
I was going to say, for the new engineers, it's like, these are the most important skills, but they are the least talked about, and the least leadership is the least trained in them to deploy them and actually cultivate them, from my experience, in engineering field, in the building systems design world. Okay, that's just my experience. When I start talking about things like this, people don't know what to do with it. And the biggest thing that I get when I was an employee was, we're not here to worry about people's personal lives. We're here to run a business. We shouldn't be talking about how they feel about anything, which I think is just totally wrong. And like, of course it has a place. I mean, you're not all business all the time. So I guess my message was, this stuff's really important. You're going to hear that it's not, most likely, for a little bit longer, until people stop being idiots and get their shit together and know that it actually helps their entire business grow beyond any sort of perceived ceiling. So just be ready for that. And then the other thing is that it sounds wishy-washy, but it's very tactical. So you can apply your engineering brain and reverse engineer a lot of this stuff into, what actions do I take every day to get better at it?
Yep.
So don't be dissuaded from trying these things, because just like one simple example, just because I'm doing it now, business is all about relationships. Okay. I shouldn't say all about relationships. Relationships are a huge component, right? There's degrees to which you can apply these things, but relationships is big. I don't think anyone could fight me on that. Remembering who all these people are that I talk to every day, involving my business, is very hard. So you would think, or at least I did, I'm like, man, if I track this, set up sequences, 3-day follow-ups, what did I say last time? How do I say it better this time? What should I tell them? Do I remember personal things about them? Like, it felt like, well, you're going against the complete core, reason behind this emotional intelligence and being the people person by applying this strict tracking and engineering mind to it. It's like, you should just be able to remember everybody's name, or else you're fake, or else you're just doing it for business. And it's like all this horseshit that I used to kind of feel and hear. And it's like, no, you're good at managing relationships however the fuck you need to be good at managing relationships. And then that just drives better business, better relationships, and things like that. So don't worry about if you're a new engineer and you're like, okay, this is the boss that I met. They referenced this other person. The skip level is this. My peer group is over here. And don't be afraid to write all the names down. What did you learn about them today? When will you contact them next? What will you say? What value are you bringing? And you have your whole spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Manage it. You can manage this stuff.
And it's okay to ask those people, like, hey, I'm new here. How often does someone in my role usually talk to you? Like, how often do we collaborate to accomplish something? And let them tell you what their expectation is. And then you can write that down and follow up in that exact same cadence.
Yeah. Yeah. And an even better point with some of this too, to add on to both of you, is it's not about remembering everyone's name, because you're not going to. Things are going to happen all the time, especially if you're new. You're going to be drinking from a fire hydrant, and there's going to be a lot of pressure, a lot of things going on, a lot of information you can't consume. Right? But when it comes to relationships, especially when you want to apply emotional intelligence in that, is your EI emotional intelligence, that helps build your structural influence you have with your sphere around you. And I like to really to kind of teach and educate people is like, look, I have honestly myself not remembered people's names that I have worked with. I might even have like a random blank to where I forgot somebody's name, but I remember because I focus on three things when I interact with people: is who's their family. So do they have a spouse? Do they have kids? Do they have a dog or a pet that's like very precious to them? I consider that family. What life do they have? Like what hobbies? What are their favorite, food or snacks or treats? Specific things that you can remember about people and associate that with them. So where next time you interact with them, if you can remember those are the things that are their levers because it's important to them. And if I understand what's important to you, I'm not manipulating you, but I am listening to your intrinsic value, what's important to you, what makes you a person, what makes you you. If I can remember those things, my sphere of influence with you is already 30 times higher to where, hey, can you help me with this? And you know that I know all these important things about you because I actually give a shit. That is where we have a lot of benefit now. I've seen people come into jobs to where they have no technical background, but they have the ability to employ relationships and leverage them for the better of everybody. Again, not manipulate, very
Correct.
distinct difference. And they are incredibly successful. So that's one thing that we can take away and give to the newer graduates.
Manipulation would be a bad intent, and a persuasion is going to be your good intent. So you
or
can get rid of that manipulation or influence. Yeah. You can get rid of the manipulation word right away because you're not going to be manipulating.
And and since we're talking about engineers, I think this is a great thing to drop in here. Is part of the leadership program I still partake and teach with right now. One of the larger books that I teach, because I facilitate the negotiation influence portions of the leadership program. And Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, I think is incredibly impactful. Incredibly, because in there it talks about, Jake mentioned it earlier, is he's like, these are tactical decisions. Well, they are. And so it mentions tactical empathy. It talks about mirroring. It talks about understanding like what the problem actually is compared to blaming the person. And so all these small things of how to apply emotional intelligence, but be able to listen to what is actually going on and take away the things that give those people the power. To them, it's a power facade. It's where they're angry or they're a boss and they say, this is the right way. Okay, what makes them feel so rested in that? Listen to them and not dissect them, but reverse engineer where that power is coming from to take the power from them. So it's really just a power of what emotional tie do people have to certain words. Take that power away and now they have nothing, and it makes them explain more of what is going on. There's a whole lot we can go into that, but I at least just wanted to say, if you're going to take something from this episode, one, read. Can do everybody great things, but Never Split the Difference is absolutely worthwhile.
Yeah, on that book. So I haven't read it myself, but I know about the book. I've actually listened to Chris Voss on a couple of podcasts before, and so I understand a lot of the concepts. Yeah, and it's actually the next book I'm reading. So, anyways, what I wanted to touch on is I did recommend it to a team member that I had on my previous team, and he was right out of school, and this engineer struggled to build some connections, and he would have a tough time, negotiating with cross-functional teams and being able to, like, he would just get flustered, right? Because he'd be like, man, how come they don't get their portion done, and I'm waiting on them, and blah blah blah, And so I was like, hey, why don't you read this book? And then I also recommended How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Dale Carnegie.
Yeah. So I recommended those two books, and he was so interested in improving himself, which is awesome, that he read both of them. And then he started deploying some of the tactics that he learned about in the book. And then he came to me, he's like super excited. He's like, dude, I did the thing in the book and it worked. And the guy was awesome, and he's totally getting this thing done. And, and he thanked me because I was, being considerate and blah, blah. It's like, dude, this is awesome. This is amazing. He's like super pumped about it. And his status in the teams went up from his peer groups. I got feedback from the person who was quote unquote difficult with him before. He's like, man, this guy's he's improving a lot, and he's being real considerate and blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, this is awesome just to see the wins from something as simple as just like, hey, take a look at this book, read it, and then try it out. And that's one of the things I also wanted to stress is that it's okay to fail and it's okay to try new things and see how they work, right? As someone who's coming into the workplace, like just try it out. And if it doesn't work, okay, make a change, pivot and try something different. But if it does work, you're like, hey, maybe I can start leaning into that tactic and then become better and better at what you do by just trying things.
Yeah. And man, I think 2 phenomenal points we can take away with part of that too is fail fast. Is you're going to fail.
Yep.
Without a doubt. You and I are still going to fail. Jake's going to fail. He's getting a business up and going. He's going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. The only time you truly fail at something is when you don't make a decision, you don't do something. And you can it's always easiest way to remember it. Today is either day 1 or it's one day. So it's your choice as to which one it's going to be. And so even if you feel like it might not go great, do it anyways. If you're experiencing a hard time, good. Like Jocko Willing's infamous good.
Yep.
You're experiencing difficulty, good. What are you going to do? Don't come to me looking for an answer. Bring some solutions to me and tell me what you're going to do about it. Like, let's actually find a way through this. Let's have a good amount of creativity, some brainstorming, use it and leverage it. And I forgot the other part. That's a good one too. Go ahead.
I'll throw in there that giving a shit and doing all the things that you just talked about are skills. So, and that's great because we can work on skills and get better at things. And isn't it fun when you figure out basically that clearing out emotional bullshit between you and the other person is like pretty much the fastest way in the unlock to just doing great things together.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like you were saying, you're like, they have the power in something that they're really holding on to. And that power comes from a deep emotion on something. Right. And as soon as you can clear that out of the way, it's like, all right, let's do shit. Let's work together. Let's be awesome.
And I think that is the hardest part of applying soft skills, especially if as a high performer, most times we know what the problem is and we know how to fix it. Now, the hard part of that is unless you're at the very top and you have full authority to fix it, most times you might have the best way to solve something, but unless they are influenced to make that decision and want to do it, it doesn't matter how many ways you're able to solve it unless they think it's their idea or they want to actually partake in it. And that's hard is because we see so many problems around us. We're like, well, that's kind of easy to fix. Well, common sense might be easy to us, but it's not so common to other people. And so how can we make sure that we don't forget that whenever we communicate with them to where we bring them along on this journey, not just bash them because they weren't able to figure it out right off the bat. So again, it comes a lot to influence. And even if you take the word negotiation, I think a lot of the general society are shifting from negotiation itself as more of like this is a state. Like think of like Suits, where they're across the table and like they're going back and forth and like the legal side. But if you have the influential side of that, negotiation becomes even easier, especially when you look at distributive and integrative bargaining portions of it. It's this incredible philosophy that if you just listen to each other, you can both succeed. There's middle ground to be had, but as long as you're willing to listen and talk to them and associate, that's where you're going to find all the mechanisms that you need to start kind of leveraging.
And just like, I find the easiest, because I failed at this a lot when I was an employee or like even starting to like lead people or whatever. So I made sure that I'm going to do better in this business. It's one of the main things I'm focusing on is that like just drop the need to be right, drop the preaching, and just get into a situation where you guys can just talk about the thing, bring up evidence about why the outcomes are going to be successful based on past experience, whatever, proof. Like it's just so much easier to move through proof than it is to try and be right, I guess is what I'm saying. Because there's like many conversations that I'd had where it's like, I know the answer. And it's like, damn it, if you would just do this, because I saw the proof, but I would come in with, you should be doing this. We should have and then the other person wants to be right. And they think their common sense version of how to solve it isn't getting through to you. Right. And so then you're like, and it's just this whole just fuck mess of nothing happening. And it's like, so I like, that's one of the key things I think is just to drop the being right. I don't know what your thoughts are, Geoff, but like just talk it out and be evidence-based.
And again, when you look at high performers, we might have a great solution to the problem, right? But in the day, it's what is right for that situation or problem, not what is right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to swallow, is because think of a coach, right? Even as a lot of the individuals that I coach, both in and out of my current employer, when you look at how I coach them, they can be taught how to fish, right? But if they come to me and they're like, hey, Geoff, fish for me, solve this problem for me. All I'm doing for them is building that habit of, well, I now have a problem. I'm going to go to Geoff because Jeff's going to fix it.
Yep.
Well, yes and no. I'm going to listen to it, but I'm going to have you go through and sort your own problem, because you do have the ability to fix it and solve it. And I'm teaching you to think differently, because that's some of the best coaches, at least from my experience that I've seen, is they don't just fix a problem. They change the way you think, because they change your mindset. And if I can change your mindset, I can change your entire life. I can make you a better leader in your organization. I can make you a better leader within your family, within your community, within the church group you're a part of, whatever it is. If I make you a better leader as a whole, there is no minimum or maximum output of that as to where it can go within your entire sphere. And it just kind of ties in your point earlier, is like, it's no longer, it's 26. Social media is out there. There's no longer a barrier of what is work and personal anymore. That is 100% intermixed and intertwined, and we do have to find a way to set boundaries, healthy boundaries within the workplace, but you can't separate it anymore. And so if we can just focus on make them a better person, no matter which scenario or situation they get put in, there's a positive outcome. And again, it's not about what is right for you. It is what is right for the problem and the best way to navigate through it.
Yeah. On that note, what I've also found is when you are asking the person, or trying to get them to figure out how to fish, right, to use that analogy, if they come up with a way and they're really excited about it, and in your head you're like, well, that's not the best way, but it's a way and you can still catch fish, that is going to be the right way to do it in that situation, because they are going to be so much more excited about having come up with the idea of how to fish themselves. They're going to get behind it. They're going to, they might struggle a little bit, and then also in process of that, they will maybe shift towards a more efficient way to fish in the middle of fishing. But they will get behind it, be super excited about it, and then when they catch that fish, they are going to be so proud of catching the fish, and they're going to be like, look at this fish I caught. And it's a little minnow, little itty bitty fish. Yep. Like, it's so amazing, it's huge, and then you will be the hero of helping them figure out how to fish, but without being the one that they had to go to, right?
Yep.
If that makes sense.
We're a guide. And I think I've shared this with you before, is the 131. Have we talked about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude,
yeah.
My absolute favorite is
knock it out.
So the methodology is called 131. And so Jake's going to bring one problem to me. What is the actual problem? Have you defined it? If you haven't defined it, ask yourself the 5 whys. Okay. Narrow it down. What is the problem? Then what I'm going to ask somebody to do, and I do this from entry-level leaders all the way up to senior executives. What are 3 solutions to that problem? They create those solutions. Hey, bring me 3 solutions to this problem. How do you think you want to manage it? Let them do it. Let them explore. Let them come back with it if they can't do it within that one-on-one session right then and there. And then the last one, so the 1 was the problem, 3 solutions to that problem. The last one, pick one. Pick one and run with it. And what does that timeline look like? Is this a 2-week integration? Is this, can you do this within a day? And here's the thing, the most beautiful thing about this, like Steve was saying about, well, as they go through this, if it doesn't work, well, based on this methodology, if they try one and it doesn't work, what else do they have?
You have 2 more backups.
They have 2 more. And by nature and default, they should already be like, oh, well, that didn't work. I don't have to go tell Geoff the first one didn't work. I'm now just going to pick the second one based on pivoting what didn't work within the first solution. Now I'm going to move to the second one and do it automatically without being told or getting approval or permission. Like, okay, I'm going to start working on this and I'm going to find a way through. And then if that one still doesn't work, you still got 1 more. And then if it really doesn't work, that's probably worth having a conversation, because if you went through 3 iterations of a solution, there's probably something that wasn't clearly defined in the problem that would have led you to solving it in the first place. Right. So it's a perfect tool to use. And I think anyone even coming out of graduation or school, this is incredible to have, because it teaches you to think differently and bring solutions compared to problems to those around you.
Yeah. And if you
want
want
quick thing, Steve, for the problem, like a great way to help you define it is just to ask what would have to be true for this to be solved. Because then you could back your way into, well, so what is the problem? Just a quick thing for people.
Yeah. And I was actually just going to throw a quick thing too, is that if you want to supercharge your career and growth, do this before even interacting with your manager, right? If you, as soon as you see a problem, just do the 1-3-1 rule to like internally. And if it's a clear solution, just do it and then go to your manager and be like, hey, I saw this problem. These are the 3 things that I thought could solve it, but I kind of landed on this one as the primary way. I did it. It was successful. Just giving you an update that this happened. And you're going to be
communication.
Yeah. It's
Yep. And this is a great example for me to throw in. I was coaching somebody yesterday, 2 days ago, and then yesterday again. Is they had an interview for a new role that they wanted, and they're like, "Well, what questions should I bring to the interview?" And we talked about a couple of different things. And one of my favorite questions for interviewing for a role is, if I could solve one problem within the organization or within your team, what would that be? And so he went to the first interview, and they're like, they ate my question up. He's like, I don't even think they were expecting a question like that, because I asked it, and like, because he was sitting down with the CFO, the CHRO, and the president of one of the
pillars of the
smaller
company?
companies. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. There's a family of 5 of them. And they're all kind of like taken back, and they had to think. And so they gave him an answer to that. Right. And so he's like, hey, I got my follow-up interview, and I think it's like in 5 or 6 days. And he's like, well, he was like, it was great. And I was like, cool. So I want you to bring 3 solutions to how you, within your engagement, is going to solve that problem for them and bring them more intrinsic value and make your role basically, you're making yourself permanent, because they're like, well, he's going to be able to help solve strategy and vision. We give him a problem. Now, not only is he solving it coming right in off the gate, but he's able to think differently and help us with the areas that we need. And that's a perfect example of using an interview system. So even if those listening, if you want something to take away from this, ask that question in your next interview and watch people get floored by your ability to think differently. And then when you have that follow-up interview with them, hit them again with 3 solutions and how that might be beneficial to them, and just see what they say.
Yeah.
They're going to want to know more.
I know.
Which equals they're going to want to like really lean towards hiring.
Yeah. And to put it in the perspective of hiring managers, if a hiring manager can learn something within the interview process, they're going to want to bring you on, right? Because you're already presenting incredible value, and you're not even part of the organization yet. So from a hiring manager perspective, if I go in and I'm interviewing a new engineer and I ask some difficult questions based off of current problems that we're having at the time, and you nail a solution out, and it's just like, wow, I didn't even think about that. That's a great perspective. That's going to make me want to do follow-up interviews, or if it's at that point, bring you in. So
yep. Again, hire for the soft. We can always teach the hard. I can teach you how to do anything if you are coachable, can listen, and have the grit and tenacity to actually put into play what I'm telling you to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've made the mistake of hiring just on technical before, and going, oh well, soft skills are not perfect, etc. But but we really need this core competency, and it was a train wreck. And I've hired purely on soft skills, and the degree was there, so I was like, okay, that should be enough on the technical side. And that person came in and kicked ass, because they integrated with the team super fast, and they took a lot of ownership and responsibility of what they were working on, and they learned the technical side very quickly, because they're like, hey, I don't know shit about this, but I need to learn it so I can be successful, and so I'm going to do that. And they're great.
couple quick notes on interviewing and the hiring. It's been my experience that I've never talked deeply about my technical expertise in any interview I've ever done, and I've always had very high success with getting hired, and I've never had a job gap like ever. And I never talked about technical. It was all about the soft skills and asking them how their company's doing and what do they envision my role filling, what's the problem that I'm going to be solving when I get on. Just never talking about the hundreds of projects that I've done, all the police stations, all the education buildings, all this stuff, switch gear and whatever. It's like, why are we going to talk about lighting photometrics? It's like, this is all just stupid shit. Like, let's talk about what I'm going to do to help you guys make money or solve a headache that you have. And it's always been really a great turnout, in my experience. And then if you take that approach, you take our advice and you're talking about these things during the interview process and then you don't get hired, they were probably looking for someone who was, and all they care about is super technical, right?
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about like, there are roles where the technical is the absolute most important thing. Like, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Let's
Yeah.
just throw that away.
Yeah.
But if you're in the other scenario and they don't choose you, and you should be thankful, because if they care that much about technical and they won't hire anybody that is not super technical or that's all they talked about, they're not going to focus on soft skills, and so then you're not going to learn so much about it when you work for them, and you're going to be treated as the person that just needs to produce, and you're going to be left alone to just do the technical shit over and over, and your career is going to stall. Like, as far as moving into leadership, if you want to do that, if you want to just be a technical cog, like, then forget everything I just said. That's fine.
What culture are you going to be induced to? Because if they're treating or responding to you that way, is that culture going to be somewhere you're going to want to stay long term? If that's what they're focused on, right? So these are all things to think about when you're going through this process.
Yeah.
You're not just interviewing for that role; you're also interviewing the company.
Yep.
Yeah. And what happens when that technical aspect, that they don't need it anymore? You know, you're gone. What if they oversize the team too much to deploy the technical thing they were looking for? Then you got to move on. If it doesn't work, or it doesn't work to the degree they wanted it to, they don't have the resources to pull back into it, then you're laid off, right? It happens all the time.
Soft skills can be
it's a
everywhere.
normal part of getting laid off is a normal part of the workplace, and it's not like this super bad thing. You just move on. But having the soft skills and stuff, you could become a leader, transition to another initiative. So it's not initiative unique. It's just like, oh, this initiative sucked. We hired you for it, and we made a bet and it didn't fucking pay off at all. Like, we're going to go do this new thing. And it's like, oh, okay, well, good thing I have all these soft skills and the ability to just drive initiatives in general. So let's just go do it.
Yeah. So kind of pivoting back to some of the generational stuff. We have talked about generational perceptions of like Gen Alpha and newer crowds.
What gen are we in again, Steve?
We're like the beginning of the millennials. Yeah. So most of the generations that new grad engineers or even like 5-year in engineers are going to be reporting to, though, is going to be most likely the millennial / Gen X range, right? So what sort of generational norms should those new engineers be ready to engage with?
It's a really good question. And again, we're going to talk high level.
Absolutely.
Vast majority of them, as to what I think is a common problems that people get associated with, is that I'll also give a caveat that no matter what leader you work with, if they tell you they have it all figured out, they are fucking lying. Okay. Lying through their teeth. Right.
Yeah.
And I think, because I'm also part of that generation as well, that
the early
we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do seem to think that we have a really good head on our shoulders and we have a lot of things figured out. And if they could just start this way and they can do their time, they will learn what's going on, and then they can continue to be self-sufficient and employ these skills. And I actually think that isn't bad, but if we look at the new generation to where they can take a problem and they can see it on a whole different scale and different platform, and they can use AI, they can use, Perplexity, ChatGPT, all these different areas to see things differently, to where it's like, all right, I know you see this and say that, but like, what more can we do? What more can we bring to this problem that solves so many more smaller things? And I don't think there's as much difficulty between these younger generations, where I would even say we're on that cusp of being able to interact, to where we are still adaptable enough to where we can listen to something and be like, that makes sense. Like, I kind of like that. Or I don't know if that'll work, but I'm willing to hear and see more of it. Like, what would it actually take to see this come to fruition, or a test or something? Yeah. So I think just getting through the sense of entitlement that is placed upon the younger generations as to, I deserve to be here because I have X degree or I have this. I think it's more on them to be like, I know I'm coming in somewhere new. I do have these skills and traits, but this is how I can make it work for this organization or this company or this team. So I do think it's a mixture of both, which isn't like, I guess, a direct answer, but it might be enough.
No, I think you nailed it. This is going to be my kind of response to the question as well. And it's just the truth. So if it triggers anybody, that's, okay.
Too bad.
You just might have it. If you get triggered by it, it's because you probably have it. But it's the entitlement. I just come in humble and just shed the entitlement and be like, what are we going to do to work together and be the best that we can be? You know, this is your company, or you're manage this team. I'm new blood. Like, let's run this was my favorite thing that I always told everybody that asked me about how to interview as a new engineer. I would just tell people, I want to come in, learn the systems as they are right now, work them hard. And if there's things to change along the way, I'm up for that too. That's it. And people love that. It's like, because you're telling them I'm going to come in, play ball, and then we're going to shift if we need to. Instead
be
of
humbly confident.
I come in, instead of saying, yeah, exactly. And instead of saying, I have all these ideas and I can't wait to implement them into your system. And even though I have no idea what the fuck your system is.
Yep.
So I'm here to fuck shit up and cause havoc. When can we start? Like that's not going to work so well.
I was thinking a little bit from a few sentences ago. So
removing the explicitives.
No.
whatever that word is.
No. The older generations, and I shouldn't say older, but like the management level generations, like maybe Gen X or so, from my perspective, are more on like the loyalty driven side of things, and the younger ones are more of the purpose driven side of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you see that kind of delineation between older versus younger generations?
Well, yeah. I mean, so when you think about like our parents or that generation, there were pensions. There was an extreme reward for loyalty to stay with certain organizations for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, right? Yeah. There is a distinguishing difference between what was offered then and then where things are now. And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad from our own perspective or objectives. That's just what it truly is. And so, yeah, the younger population, they're looking at, well, how does your organization work within, the renewable energies or replenishing the earth or being able to help fight, child poverty or these different things. These are what they are paying attention to because it has to speak to their personal values and ethics. The organization kind of has to match. So you can have a great business plan, but if they're not bought in or sold on it, you don't really see as much engagement from them because they don't believe in it long term. And they might work a job to where they still got to pay some bills and make some money. But you do see a tougher delineacy between them to where they're not willing to invest if they know they're not going to be invested in.
Yeah. And I think it doesn't even have to be we're all for Greenpeace or World Peace or whatever large mission. It could be, we are here to service our customers by providing the best thing for them to use to make their lives easier, right? That is a mission that people can get behind and feel purpose in, rather than we're just here to make money and we're just this big corporate machine, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Most younger generations are going to see that and run. But if you're an organization that advocates for servicing their customer base, in the best possible way, regardless of the financial implications of it, I think that's going to be a purpose that they can buy into, right? And it's not the typical like stereotypical corporation mentality that you think of like from the 80s or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I know we're coming up on time, so I want to make sure I say this as well, is you're not going to be liked by everybody, whether you're a new grad, whether you're a distinguished leader that's been around for a lot of time. Think about politics as well. You're not going to be liked by everybody, but if you stay true to who you are and your personal ethics and like your culture, if you stick true to it and you're consistent with it, people will know what to expect of you and they will respect you for it. Because I would rather be respected than be liked. Because you're always going to know I'm going to have your back on things. I'm always going to help coach you to be the best person you can always be. Are you going to be happy with me all the time? No. And that's totally fine. That's where accountability comes from. You're not going to be liked by everybody. Stop trying to be liked by everyone. It does not matter. It really doesn't. Like, yeah, it's nice to have here and there, but get to know me for me being authentic and honorable to you compared to being liked and like me being like applying radical candors, instead of being like insincere, like manipulation or like backstabbing or even front stabbing, like, oh, I think you did a great job, even though I know for a fact you didn't. Mm-hmm. No, just tell them, give them the honest truth, give them the feedback because they can't fix it if they don't know what's broken. I should have said that earlier on in the episode. Yeah. There we are.
It's a good book, by the way. Radical Candor, Kim Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for you, Jake, that you want to bring up?
No, dude, that was a good episode.
Okay.
I think we asked our questions. Do you remember our questions?
Yep, I do. So we do have a couple questions
Okay.
that we like to ask at the end. And I'll just start with mine. Mine's more high level and just kind of more of a mindset type of question. And that is to you, what makes an impactful engineer?
An impactful engineer. Someone who can take their skills and utilize it to coach and educate and make everyone around you better.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a co-elevation kind of mentality. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the mission of what we're doing. Awesome, perfect.
I leaned pretty heavily into that.
Yeah,
maybe too much when I was an employee.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, mine. I don't know. Could be easier, but it's just action based. Like if someone's listening and gotten this far and they're like, man, I should do something, from this episode, and I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start when I turn the episode off. Like I'll just go do this thing that I should do. Like, what would you recommend that they do? The first action that they take.
You cannot be impactful to anyone else around you if you're not impactful to yourself. So to take away from that is, if you need to go have a conversation with somebody else, why haven't you done it? But more importantly, what is preventing yourself from doing that? Do you need to go to the gym? Do you need to read more? Do you need to meditate? Be impactful to who you are, so the rest of it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Kind of what I thought. What I took away is there's something keeping you from, if you want to take action based on this episode, there's probably something keeping you from taking that action.
Mm-hmm.
Try to figure out what that is. But what do people do to improve themselves and just go do those things and try to clear that out for yourself? So if it is that hard conversation, what do people do to have the hard conversations that they need to have? Well, I guess you're just going to have to have courage enough to just go have the conversation now, like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we recommend that you do it very quickly. Yeah, I like that.
And if you need an influential thing to remember, just count to 3. So if you want to ask a girl out, or if you want to ask a guy out, or if there's, something you want to know more about, or a manager who has everything you want, as you get closer to experiencing it, just count to 3 real quick. 1, 2, 3, and just do it. Ask a question. You want to go buy a car somewhere? Hey, you mind taking $10,000 off of it? Here's the thing. They might say yes.
Mm-hmm.
They might. Worst case, they tell you to pound sand. Guess what? Did you lose anything? No, because now you have a confirmation of where you stand and where that boundary is at. It's easy to accept that.
Yeah. You
So you get nervous, right away. 1, 2, 3, and just do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. I love it. So if people want to reach out to you or follow you, would LinkedIn be the best spot to do that?
Yeah, LinkedIn. My full name's Geoff Preece, but I go by Geoff. So LinkedIn is on there, and then I believe my email address is just my first name last name @outlook.com. Is also on there too.
And then it's not the J Jeff.
No, it's like King Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Most hated character. Yeah, that guy. Or the giraffe from Toys R Us.
That's much better. I like that one better. Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you joining us, Geoff. And as always, if you learned something today, and I know you did, this was a fantastic episode. Please share this episode, share the show with everyone that you think needs to hear this messaging. And also leave us a review, a worded review, 5-star review. It's the best way that we can continue to grow and provide value to the engineering community.
Remember, nothing below 3 stars. 3 stars means we're terrible.
Yeah, 5, please.